Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is a vlog of my late autism and ADHD unmasking experience. And today I'm probably also going to talk a little bit about my memory disorder, which is SDAM, which stands for Severely Deficient Autobiographical Memory. I don't talk about that in as many videos, which is kind of funny because that's actually what started the channel. For anybody who is new here and doesn't know, I actually started this channel just to throw up a couple videos about SDAM and aphantasia because a couple of years ago when I started the channel, there wasn't very much information or very many people making videos on those subjects. There still aren't because there's not that many people who have SDAM. There's more that have aphantasia. But, you know, about a month or so after my first video is when I started to wonder and question if I might also be autistic. At first, I didn't think about ADHD. And so I was kind of exploring getting a evaluation. And I was, at that time, I was like, well, you know what? Why don't I just go ahead and vlog this entire experience? Because I know a lot of late diagnosed people or questioning people are going through the same kind of like, how did I make it this far without nobody realizing I was autistic? Is it actually possible for me to be autistic? And so I wanted to go ahead and document the entire experience just in case. Or no matter which way it went. Like if I went and got the evaluation and it turned out I wasn't autistic, I figured that would be pretty important information for other people in a similar path to kind of hear about and from someone's perspective. And if it did turn out that I was autistic, that would also, again, I feel lived experience provide valuable information. And, you know, as I was waiting for my appointment and I was doing more and more research, I got more and more confident that, yeah, I definitely was autistic. And then I started to wonder if I was also ADHD because there's a huge co-occurring rate of autism and ADHD. And I didn't realize how much I was masking both autism and ADHD. And things like, you know how like people with ADHD are like notorious for being late to places. I was always very early. And what I realized and learned is that I basically was overcompensating for my ADHD traits and my autism traits. But like I was never late because I was hyper aware of the time. And I have clocks in every room of my house. And I was always wearing a watch. I had my phone and I would constantly be checking the time. That's overcompensating. Most people who don't have ADHD have a kind of inherent sense of time passing. But many of us with ADHD are, you might have heard the term time blind, which I don't think is a scientific term. Maybe, I don't know, but it definitely is a good term for the way to explain this like inability to feel time passing. Okay, hopefully I won't get too many interruptions, but we are having a very rare sunny day. It is so incredibly sunny. I should be outside right now, but I actually had to close my blinds because otherwise the light was like washing me out. It was so bright in here. But the kids in the neighborhood are actually outside playing, which is beautiful. But my dog, Watson, is going crazy because he keeps hearing the kids laughing and playing and stuff. So hopefully he will settle down. And it's so funny. I've gotten a like uptick in comments where people are like, is that a dog snoring in the background? Because sometimes he's sleeping so soundly and I'll forget to mention it in a video. So I was talking about time blindness, and one thing that happened that really drove home how unaware of time passage that I am is I have a friend who is blind, and when back like a while ago, TikToks used to only be 1 minute, and well, in shorts, YouTube shorts were only 1 minute long. And so when I'm filming, I have to have that little ticker up there telling me how long I'm talking. Otherwise, all my videos would probably be like an hour long easily, because I can just talk and talk and talk and not realize how much time is going. And when I would try to make a 1 minute short, which, you know, I don't have that many because it is so hard for me to fit in information into 1 minute, but I would have to sit there and watch the ticker as I'm talking. My friend who's completely blind, so she cannot like have any kind of outside, you know, visual stimulation of like how much, like a ticker or anything like that, or like me holding up my hand telling her, you know, when I would film her. But she just intuitively could tell how long a minute was. Like a minute would pass and she would stop her videos at like 58 seconds, 59 seconds, like every single time. And I'm like, that is so amazing. And she's like, I just know how long a minute is. And I'm like, there's no way for me to intuit how long a minute is. Anyway, I don't even know how I got off on that ADHD ramble. Oh, because I was saying I overcompensated all the time for all of my ADHD and autistic traits. So yeah, I ended up, you know, obviously you can go back to the beginning of my channel where I talk about my evaluation and all of that. And so that is how this vlog kind of came to be. And as, you know, my followers know that I don't script anything. I pretty much talk off the cuff, and I share with you what my current struggles usually are. I talk a lot about struggles with friendships on this channel, because that's something that has been very hard for me my entire life. And again, I do touch again upon my memory issues that I have. It's funny because I say memory issues because growing up, I would always say I have memory issues. I have memory problems. And grown-ups around me would tell me, well, nobody has a perfect memory. And I'm like, no, but something's wrong with my memory. And I could never get any adults to take me seriously. And it wasn't until I was 38 when I first heard about aphantasia and then SDAM shortly after that. And I'm like, oh, I have both. And so a lot of people who have SDAM also have aphantasia, but there's a lot of people with aphantasia who don't have the memory problem. And basically SDAM, I'll give a little brief overview here, but I go into a lot more detail in other videos, and I have a playlist for it. But I don't have autobiographical memories, but I do have semantic memory, which is like knowledge and facts of the things that happened. Like, I don't have any memory of telling an adult that I have memory problems, like an actual experience of that, but it's a knowledge. I know that I did it. My semantic memory isn't always 100%. It fails me too. And I think because if you don't have visuals and because of the aphantasia, and you can have SDAM and not have aphantasia either. Like, they are separate, but there's a lot of co-occurring, just like autism and ADHD. And I just get all four of them. But I think without having the autobiographical memories, my semantic memory just sometimes gets, wholly and not complete also. So I, don't really rely on my own memory very often. But, and then I have ADHD, which has short-term memory problems. And so, a lot of times that comes into play too. And a lot of times I'll forget what I'm saying mid-sentence, and that's an ADHD thing. Oh, it's frustrating. Anyway, so earlier this afternoon, I got a message from one of my followers, and she was saying that she was about to go on vacation. And well, she said a trip, so I don't know if that's necessarily vacation, or it could be a business trip. I don't know. But she was talking about how she thinks she has SDAM. And it's really weird because she said that, she knows that she's been to this place before, semantic knowledge, like, you've done it, but your episodic memory, like, you don't remember being there. You don't remember what you did necessarily, or you might remember some of the things you did, but you don't remember the experience of being there. You don't remember all the details and the way it smelled or the sounds or who you may have seen. Like, those things get kind of like holes in our brain. Like, we just don't have that information there. And I was kind of also telling her, like, if it was vacation, sometimes it is really hard to go on a vacation and know while you're there that in the future you aren't going to remember your experience. And what I'm going to say is for people with SDAM, but even if you don't have SDAM, I think this is a really good way to think about your life. It's very helpful for those of us with SDAM, or at least I find it to be a helpful way to think of things. But I pretty much live in the present tense. It takes a lot of purposeful effort for me to think about the past, reminisce, because my brain doesn't naturally daydream about my past because I don't have autobiographical memory. So I have to purposely try to think about something that may have happened in the past. If that can make sense, right? Because if I don't have an autobiographical memory, I'm not just going to be like sitting here daydreaming like, oh, remember that time, blah, blah, blah. I have to cognitively, I have to really for instance, if I'm thinking about my relationship with my husband and go, oh yeah, let me think, like, what are some of the dates that we used to go on when we were first dating or something? I have to really struggle to try to remember the past. And then again, it's only going to be semantics. I don't remember the experience. And then the same thing happens for my future. A lot of people daydream about things that are going to happen in their future. But because I think the way my brain works, I just don't typically sit and daydream about, because I can't, for one thing, that's aphantasia. I can't visualize what's going to happen to me in the future. I can't forward think. I live in the present. Here's something I wrote, and I don't want to try to recreate it, so I'm just going to read it to her, what I said. The way I like to think about traveling is that your present is building your future. You may not remember, but your experiences all build on one another to give you the current present that you have right now. So even if you don't remember, it's important to fully live in the present so that your future is built on the positive experiences. So what that means, basically is like when you're on a vacation and you have SDAM and you're sitting there like on a beach or in a mountain lodge or wherever you are, and you're like, dang it, I'm really enjoying this moment, but I'm not going to remember it. For one thing, I have found that when I can be present in that way, where I'm actually thinking about the fact that I won't remember something, sometimes that will cement that memory in my semantic memory more often. Because so last December, not 2024, but in 2023, I went to Hawaii, and I actually have some videos on my channel where I was kind of vlogging and talking about SDAM and processing all of this. I'm on vacation, I'm not going to remember it. So now here, a little over a year later, I know I went to Hawaii, and I know that I was standing on the beach having the thought about how I wasn't going to remember. And again, I semantically know that I was standing on the beach having this conversation with myself, but I don't remember the experience of it. I can't put myself back into that place and remember what the sounds or the smell or what the scenery, anything looked like. It's all a blank to me. I know it happened. I don't remember it. It's just so bizarre. But when you are traveling, you're doing things outside of your normal life. And those experiences do help build who you are and how you see things in your future. You have experiences that in the present shape who you're going to be in the future, for better or worse. That vacation in 2023 was a pretty terrible vacation. I'm grateful that I got to travel to Hawaii, but I got a very bad stomach bug. I thought at first was food poisoning, but then it ended up being a stomach bug. And the experiences of that trip, I was very much aware how limiting my autism was as far as sensory and routine changes and just a bunch of other things. And that actually shaped my whole next year. We didn't go anywhere on vacation this last year because every time we thought about going on vacation, that previous one was just so hard that we decided as a family, like, we're not ready to travel again until a lot of things, our window of tolerance of being autistic maybe is different, or just, different things. But even that experience did shape, our future. Another thing, as far as my memory disorder goes, and it being January, a lot of times in December, people will spend the last couple of days of December kind of reflecting about how their year went and what goals they met and different things like that. And I can't do that. I will try to think back. It gets so frustrating because I'll think back on like January, February, like it's just a big empty slate to my brain. So in years past, I didn't do that this year, but in years past, I have pulled out my calendar, or like if I kept a journal that year or things like that, and I would take the time to go through. And when I write a journal entry or make a video or take a photo, it still doesn't trigger a memory. When I read a journal entry of something that I wrote a year ago, cognitively, I know that I wrote it. It doesn't trigger that memory. It doesn't bring anything back for me. It might bring back some more semantic facts again, but it's not gonna like make me relive that experience. Even a video is even more wild because I will be rewatching the video and I'm like, oh, that's me. I recognize that that's me in that video, but I don't remember filming it. I don't remember the words coming out of my mouth. It's like cognitive dissonance. It's very weird. I don't really like it, actually. So I rarely go back and rewatch videos because it's jarring, I guess. So again, that's another place where having SDAM is difficult, when other people are kind of like reflecting on, did they achieve their goals and things like that. And it's like, I don't remember, like, what were my goals? I know the last several years, I created a word of the year, which was kind of a trend going on for a while there. And I'm like, did I write it down anywhere? Because I know semantically, I created a word last January, and that was going to be my word for the year. And like a lot of people, you forget your resolutions, you forget your word for the year. But most people, I think, if they thought about it and they went back and like, oh yeah, I did that. What was it? They would be able to recall it. I can't recall it. And I don't normally write it down, but I didn't keep a journal last year, which is a problem. I know I do better when I keep journals, but I have pathological demand avoidance profile of autism where things feel like a demand. And last year, journaling just felt like a huge demand. And like, even though I know I benefit from it, I'm like, I'm not doing it. I just can't. And part of that is because of a frustration I've had with journaling. Because like back on my bookshelf, I've got several years worth of bullet journaling. And one day I needed to look something up. And I couldn't even remember what year it was, what book it was in. Like, and so I was like flipping through all these books and I couldn't search for it. And so it was really frustrating. So then I tried to keep a digital journal, and that really didn't work very well either. And so then I'm just like, forget it, screw it. I'm not going to do it, even though that wasn't the best choice, because now there's been several times where I'm like, I need to know something that happened this last year. And if I didn't write it in my Google Calendar, I have no record or memory of it. So I just hurt myself, but I did it anyway. So this year I am starting a journal. We'll see if I keep up with it. Again, it doesn't trigger memories, but at least it's a written record of something that I did, you know, like if I need to reference like a doctor's appointment or something, at least I have a little bit more of a record about it. And see, the problem with just my calendar is that tells me that, yes, I did go to the doctor, but what did we talk about? What did we discuss? You know, like all of that's gone. So 2 more things I wanted to say. One, for my blind viewers during this video, instead of a fidget, I am working on a crochet project. I just started it like 2 days ago. It's the start of it's a snake pattern, but I'm calling it a bookworm, and I'm creating the head right now, and it's multicolored yarn that I picked that is like green and purple and blue and teal. And so I'm about to start up on the neck. I've got a few more rows to go. And then what I'm going to do is I wrote down the main genres of books that I typically read, which sci-fi and romance are my 2 favorite genres. And then I read a lot of fantasy. I do like nonfiction, mystery, and like just contemporary books. And I kept mine very broad, but you could like go further. Like if you mostly only read romance, you could do it by contemporary, Regency, you know, other historical, maybe a sci-fi romance, fantasy romance. Like, so you could break it up however you wanted, but then I assigned each one a color. So every time I read a book this year, I am going to do like a couple of bands of that color. So the first book I read, I mentioned in my last video, was The House in the Cerulean Sea, which is really good. I'm going to call that one a fantasy. I mean, that is kind of its genre. It's kind of realistic, magical realism, I think, also is the other genre. But again, I just decided to keep it fairly, not that many categories. You can make as many categories as you want, honestly. But part of this was to use up yarn I already owned. So I picked out my colors and then I tried to make my categories fit how many colors of yarn I already owned without having to buy more. So that one's green. So I don't know how many bands I'm going to do, maybe 4 or 5 rows of each color for each book. And so I'm going to call him my bookworm throughout the year. We'll see how long he gets. That's the cool thing about a worm, is it can be really long. And so I just thought it would be fun, and I thought it'd be a good project because it's not something I have to work on every day, because I don't read a book a day. If you read a book a day, then, you know, you would have to keep up with it. Like some people do weather quilts, and you have to, not quilt. Some people do quilts, but knitting. Some people knit a weather blanket or crochet a weather blanket. And so every single day you have to do a row of that day's temperature. But you know, if it takes me 2 or 3 days to read a book, sometimes it takes me a lot longer than that, then I'm only having to do, you know, a couple of bands of color every couple of days. And so I thought that would be a really fun project to just have going in the background. And the reason why I started it was because a couple days ago, I was feeling really, really anxious. I was feeling very anxious. and I'm like, I need my hands to do something. And I was in the middle of an embroidery project, but that just didn't feel right. And I'm like, I really wanted to crochet. So I was just trying to come up with a project that I already had like supplies at home. And one thing is, for me, like when I'm feeling anxious, like creating art can help. And this is like the last thing I wanted to talk about today really quick, was that like lately it feels like, at least as an American, everywhere I look right now is despair and negative energy, with the fires in LA. And if you are somebody who is living in LA dealing with this, my heart absolutely goes out to you so much. I cannot even imagine. There's ice storms in the country. There's people dealing, like, I feel like the insurance fraud has gotten even worse. Like, the corruption is so bad, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. My mom has a procedure that she's supposed to do next week, and she's been waiting for like a couple of months for it. The insurance just denied it. And if they're fighting it, but they don't get it approved, her appointment will get moved. And if it gets moved, then that's a new chance for them to deny it again. And this is something that she really needs. And then just like the looming inauguration coming up, which, I'm just like so incredibly stressed. There's already been so much negativity, and he hasn't even been in office yet. Meta rolling back their fact checking, TikTok ban, which is like, against free speech for Americans. Like, it's just feeling like hopeless and despair. And so one thing to fight against that is to look for happiness, because authoritative governments want us to feel hopeless and despair and like we can't do anything. So look for the happiness, look for the glimmers, and create, because a society that stops making art is on the decline. And don't think that your art doesn't matter, because your art matters, because your art is feeding your soul, which gives you energy to output to others. So even if your art is only for yourself, if you make art for other people, then that's also sharing joy and big and like good for creation, like creating. But even if you're making art only for yourself, create writing, music, poetry, crochet, knit, painting, whatever kind of art you want to put out in the world, the energy, and I mean, I'm not getting very woo, but like the energy and the vibrations of that creation is part what can help fight authoritarian governments in a small way, especially for my disabled community, where we feel like, what can we do? Create, read. So like put out, but also bring in. Enjoy other people's art. If you can buy art from other artists, if you can read the things that other people are creating out in the world, if you can listen to music from other people. So like put out art and creativity, and take time to bring it in to you too. And then again, if you are American, I know that, I've got viewers from around the world, but, and I know that there are other parts of the world who are also struggling with countries trying to go alt-right. It is so mind-boggling to me that we are going backwards and into a dark ages, but we have to fight it. And so for American, I am going to have my representatives' emails basically like ready to go. I've already emailed my representatives on a couple of things saying, as one of your constituents, I want you to object to this, and this, like you just got to keep doing it. I've never been hugely into politics. I have emailed my representatives here and there, like sprinkles. But this year, I am definitely going to stay on top of it, because that is something that as a disabled person, I can do to take action. So that is accessible to me. Anyway, thank you guys for watching and listening. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a little disheartening because my channel has been very much on the decline lately. So I'm creating. I'm not going to give up on it because I enjoy making it, and I know that there are those of you who enjoy my content, and that means so much to me, because as humans, we're reciprocal, right? Like I just said, I'm creating, you're taking in, watching people's YouTube videos, small time creators, you are taking in what they are putting out, and it helps raise the level of like joy in the world. I have a personal theory that because of the TikTok ban, I think there's a lot of TikTokers who are moving to YouTube, and I think that YouTube is pushing out the views on these new content creators, which is great, which is awesome, because like, again, creation is good, right? But right now in the moment, my views have plummeted, I think, because my channel is older, and I think they're highlighting new content creators. So I'm hoping I can ride the wave and that my videos might get pushed out again after a while. And I am happy that new content creators are coming on and sharing their voices too. I believe in abundance. I don't like scarcity mindset. There's 8 billion people on this planet. There are enough viewers for everyone for whoever's creating content. There are viewers out there. Right now, YouTube isn't pushing my videos out in front of people. So if you do enjoy my videos, liking, sharing, commenting, any kind of engagement that you do, lets the algorithm know that this content is interesting to somebody, and then they might show it to more people, which I appreciate. So yeah, until the next one, guys, I will see you. Bye.